This is WeatherScope.
Another winter storm menaces the east. A wintry mix is affecting places in the north, while heavy rain and potential flooding threatens areas in the southeast. Janetta Jones has the latest from the Forecast Center.
Thanks a lot, Mike. We are looking at winter storm warnings and watches, winter weather advisories in effect throughout parts of the Northeast, from Maine all the way back through parts of Virginia and everywhere in between. Why are we looking at this? Well, that's what we're going to investigate for you right now. I'm joined by Jamie Simpson, meteorologist here at the Weather Channel, who's been tracking all of this that's going on. It's not just one area of low pressure, but two.
Two areas of low pressure. Many different things will come about from the storm. We have a chance for heavy snow, heavy rain, heavy icing, some coastal flooding. You name it, we got it with the storm up and down the East Coast.
Okay, let's look at the satellite view first of all in the Northeast, and a lot of places are inundated with clouds and moisture. Heavy rainfall possible along the coast?
Certainly anywhere from the New York City metro area down to coastal North Carolina could see some heavy rain. The way the clouds are looking right now on the satellite shows that this storm is still in the initial forming stages. When we just see arcs of clouds spreading off to the north and east, that's typical of just a forming storm. So this thing still has another 24 hours to develop as it heads up toward the northeast. And folks from New York City northward, you have just started to see the beginnings of what will be probably a pretty hectic 24 hours with rain and snow for a lot of folks in the Northeast.
Now, rush hour traffic about to get underway in a lot of locales.
Right.
New York City, Washington, D.C., Philly even, talking about rain right now. But west of those cities, it could be a different story.
Absolutely, and not too far west for both Washington and New York City. In fact, Morristown, New Jersey is still around 30 degrees, so anybody heading out west of New York City on I-78 will likely run into some sleet or freezing rain. And not too far west of Washington, D.C., temperatures hovering right around the freezing mark as well, so the same story there. You don't have to go too far west of the metro areas until you start running into the frozen precipitation.
And we've seen some ice accumulations of up to half an inch, right?
Yes, in the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia, probably some significant icing, and now up into Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and some of the valleys, the Susquehanna Valley of Pennsylvania. A lot of cold air, sub-freezing temperature still in place, and now a lot of moisture is starting to make its way up into Harrisburg, and it looks like we'll continue to see some widespread freezing rain in this area here, all the way up into northeast Pennsylvania as we head through the evening hours.
31 degrees right now in Boston. What are we looking for in Boston?
Well, Boston not only is below freezing, but we have quite a bit of dry air over southern New England as well. As precipitation moves north and eastwards, as it's starting to do, we'll start to see a little bit of evaporation take place, which will cool the temperatures. and it looks like they'll stay, for the most part, freezing or below in southern New England all night, which means for the most part accumulating snows. One exception is along the Connecticut and Rhode Island coast, where some warm ocean waters have already raised temperatures up into the mid-30s.
Okay, so as we break down the travel for everyone, everybody's going to see some sort of problem. It just depends on where you are.
Absolutely. Still problems with freezing rain along I-81 through Virginia. We'll see, as we said, a large area of sleet and freezing rain across Pennsylvania. Further to the north, snow will be the problem, and even places that get rain, coastal areas of New Jersey down to Virginia, we could see some very heavy rain. In fact, some flash flood watches in effect for parts of the coast, as we could see really some very big problems with rain as it picks up and becomes very heavy during the overnight hours.
Initial stages of the snow moving into Boston, but that's not the big batch of moisture yet.
No, one little area of runaway snow, very light. It's down to the south, now moving into eastern Pennsylvania is where the pretty good rain is falling, and a lot of this area, as we've been mentioning, temperatures still below freezing. So Harrisburg just looks like a horrible commute for you, with probably some freezing rain even accumulating on roadways in that area.
Okay, the other aspect of this storm has been with the heavy rainfall in the southeast. We do have the threat for flash flooding, and take a look at this. It's been a messy, wintry day in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Rain moved into the area last night, and it's been heavy at times today. And unfortunately, this has been an all too familiar sight in other locales, not just in North Carolina and South Carolina, but also Tennessee and Georgia and Florida. And as we look at our travel map, you can see we do have flash flood watches in effect for portions of North Carolina and Tennessee. Jamie, how long do you think this rain will last?
Well, this rain should last through most of the nighttime hours. The heaviest rain should be the mountains eastward through North and South Carolina. We have two things going on. We have a coastal front setting up, which is enhancing low-level convergence and uplift. Also, a lot of moisture going into the mountains will start to lift that because of the terrain, and both areas could see some very heavy rainfall.
And strong thunderstorms are possible, already occurring right now in the Florida Panhandle.
Yeah, not only strong thunderstorms, but also a large area that could see heavy rain in Florida as well.
Okay, a lot of things to keep up with. We thank Jamie Simpson for joining us and his expertise. And as always, we are going to check back with the studio because we have other things going on across the country.
Right you are, Janetta. Elsewhere in the U.S., the central part of the United States is quiet today, while snow, wind, and rain are keeping things busy in the west. The effects of heavy rainfall can be easily seen in Portland, Oregon. Some creeks and rivers have swollen out of their banks, causing minor problems with flooding so far. And more rain is in the forecast, so it may get a little worse before it gets better. But a break in the action today, at least coming from the sky in greater Portland and even Seattle, where there are some sprinkles reported around Hoquiam or Quileute in Washington, but most of the rain has moved on.
This WeatherScope is sponsored by MCI, one company, one local to global connection.
This is WeatherScope.
Another winter storm menaces the east, and wintry mixes affecting places in the north, while heavy rain and potential flooding threatens areas in the southeast. Janetta has the latest from our forecast center.
Thanks, Rich. We are watching parts of the northeast. We've got all kinds of winter weather advisories in effect, winter storm watches and warnings, and also some flash flood watches. I'm joined now by Colin Marquis, senior meteorologist here at the Weather Channel. And Colin, this is quite a storm system, and it's going to have sort of a double whammy to it.
Yeah, it's affecting a lot of people, number one, and you're right. For the northeast, there'll be a 1-2 punch, with the first coming in tonight, and then the second, and it's a more powerful storm, but we're not quite sure how close it's going to be to the coast or how far offshore. That won't be until later tomorrow into tomorrow night.
As we check out the radar, we can see that the moisture is just starting to reach into southern New England, but places like D.C., well, they've been in it for quite a while, as well as Philly and New York City.
Yeah, D.C. had problems for the morning commute, but toward late morning, the warm air worked in, and so it went over to